Okay, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, great and wonderful people, lovers of freedom all over the world. I greet you according to your time zone. Of course, it's been a while. It's been a while when I actually come live on a live broadcast because of, you know, many things involved. But while you are joining us, share the video, invite others to join. Wherever you are watching from, share the video, invite others to join. I have a very quick, message. And that message, I'm not going to take much of your time because I'm also under the weather. And then I don't want to speak for a very long time and then it will end up cracking my throat again. So I want us to pay very good attention to what I'm about to say, and it is very important. The reason why I want to actually, say this, it is because it is very, important for our people to understand exactly, what is going on. And the issue that I want to treat this evening, morning, afternoon, depending on where you are going to watch me from. It is media criticism or media critics. Because few days ago, I saw where the Amnesty International were actually, a kind of criticizing Tinubu for making, will I say, issuing a proclamation, that anyone who criticizes him will actually face a jail time. So I actually want to find out exactly what does that mean. I saw through Amnesty International that anybody who criticizes Tinubu will have a jail time. Not just a jail time, 3 good years in prison. Now, Amnesty International actually, I think I should read it. I should read it so that it will all make sense when we are presenting it. I should read it. Very important. Where is my... Okay, let me find it here. Just one moment. Okay. It was a proclamation that was issued by Tinubu. It says, criticizing Tinubu on social media may one moment. Oh, there's too much advert all over the place. Just quite irritating. So he said, criticizing Tinubu on social media may earn you 3 years jail term, Amnesty International actually reported. It says that Amnesty International has said critics of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu risk 3 year jail term, even as it condemns a fresh push for social media regulation by all the progressive Congress-led government. explaining the implications of social media regulations in a series of tweets on Saturday. The human rights organization said the social media regulation law, keenly pushed by Nigeria politicians, is said to be subject to vague and broad interpretation and will impose incredible harsh punishments simply for criticizing the authorities. With social media regulations, Amnesty International said social media users will be punished for freely expressing their opinion. Government can arbitrarily shut down the internet and limit access to social media. Criticizing the government will be punishable with penalty of up to 3 years in prison. On Friday, People Gazette reported that the human rights organization identified Sadasoli, an all-progressive Congress lawmaker from Katsina State, as the brain behind the reintroduction of the law. This comes shortly after Mr. Tinubu's chief of staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, called for social media regulation, describing it as a societal menace. Amidst public outrage sparked by economic hardship and insecurity. Social media has become a social menace and must be regulated, as many do not understand that once the send button is hit, there is a potential to reach millions of people around the world, which is capable of causing a great danger, not just in society, but even unintended consequences to the individuals that are receiving information, which may include security of life, said Mr. Gbajabiamila. Gbajabiamila came under attack. Okay, let me not just further it. I will read it just now. So what am I trying to say? I am trying to say that Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who was accused of certificate forgery in the United States, and Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whom also we know very well that 2023 election was not really, free and fair. Now it is now come to this extent of calling for the social media regulation or calling for social media overhaul, and then saying that if you actually criticize him on social media, you will face 3 years jail term. Now, it is very, very important that our people understand the difference between, violating somebody's space and the social media, or being, using the medium of social media to echo your, how you feel, which is a right of everybody. It is a right of every human being, right to freedom of speech. Now, of course, we are going to be realistic. Everybody have a freedom of speech on social media, quite all right. But when you use social media to start actually, pushing out propaganda, start pushing out lies, start pushing out things that doesn't exist, of course, maybe you tag somebody while at it, it becomes something that, call for alarm. It becomes something that you need to worry about. But in a situation whereby you have your social media handle and you are under democratic dispensation, just like we all know, as we are told, as it is gazetted, that, just one moment, I think my mic is trying to fall. Just like we were told, and as it is gazetted, that Nigeria is a democratic country. And under democratic dispensation, people have right to vote and to be voted for. Now you find a nation called Nigeria where there is a democracy, or whatever that it is called, where there is a human right, even though it doesn't exist, but it is also in their book. The right of human being is also in their book. So, a president that is actually voted, let us actually, assume that when a president comes into the position of leadership, people vote for the president. People bring the president to the position of leadership through ballot box, which is under democratic dispensation. People grant power to an individual to become superior over them. That is democracy. It is your right to actually grant this power to this individual. It is your right to also cry when this individual you have given authority over you is not making most use of the authority you have given them, or when they are actually taking advantage of you because they are on the top. So that means you cannot beat a child and ask them not to cry. That is something that is very, very important that we need to understand. Mr. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president of Nigeria, we are the people, because as it stands now, we are fighting to leave that colonial enclave called Nigeria, because it was not created by anybody that I know, or even anybody that is known by the president of Nigeria, or by anybody in any political elite in Nigeria. Nigeria was not named after any of your ancestors. It was not named after any of your relatives. It was not named after any of, the citizen of that Nigeria. So in a situation whereby people were forced to be together, people were forced to be together by a white man from Europe. It is not by a black person. So at the end of the day, people are realizing, there is something we used to learn when I used to be under, when I used to actually have affiliation with Christianity. There was something we used to learn during the catechism process. They tell you that during the time of your baptism, your parents will actually speak on your behalf. But when you grow up to speak for yourself, you go for confirmation of the baptism. And we learned that your parents speaks for you because you were a minor. You cannot speak for yourself. When you are of age, you go for confirmation and speak for yourself that you are going to follow the rules and become a Christian and baptize under Christian, and the baptism, you agree the baptism of your parents. That is what is called confirmation and the Natabo Lilidiaso, according to their own process and according to how they named it. So in a situation whereby I am of age, not just of age, I have, I can actually make children. And then I am fighting for the betterment of myself and the children. And I have actually, looked towards the antecedent of the country where I found myself, that was named by somebody from Europe. And in that situation, I found out that it has never worked. Nothing has ever worked positively for the individuals who found themselves in that geopolitical space called Nigeria. And people now begin to murmur. People now begin to get frustrated. People now begin to, blame the government who they give the right to rule over them. And the government does not give them listening ears. The government does what he wants. The government of the day just not interested in things that the people are clamoring for. But they call themselves, they are the leader of this country. Under democracy, power belongs to the people. Power is given by the people. And the government of the day, all the effort that the government is making is to make sure they clamp down people from crying, even when they have cried and called upon this government to do something that is right for everybody to, to coexist. The government of the day is only interested in his relationship with the international world. The government of the day is only interested in, doing what he wants. He doesn't actually think about what the people who, voted him into the political space want. Now, if you look at it, that is exactly an evidence to show you that you never voted him in. Because he doesn't want your opinion. Just like he doesn't need your vote to get in there. That's exactly what the government of the day is trying to do. Had it been the government of Nigeria is actually, perfect. I know no government is perfect. Yes, I can give you that. But had it been the government of Nigeria made available the essential, essential stuff for every individual. Because if you think about essential amenities, you think about hospital, because that is most essential, amenity. Hospital, where if ordinary person who is not feeding well because of the state of the economy, if they eventually get sick, maybe via malnutrition, maybe because of the environment that is very dirty, or maybe because of parasite that is hovering around the dirt in the environment, you will have at least access to a healthcare system that will cater for you. At least the people, it will be a bit bearable. You cannot criticize the government who gave you hospital when the issue of health occurs, because you have access to that hospital to treat yourself. So if you have access to hospital to treat yourself, there is no way you will come on social media and start maligning the government of the day when the issue of health surfaces. Now, you don't have a good school or school infrastructure where the children are going to get education. When they told us education is the key. But that place where you are going to obtain the key, it does not have even human-friendly environment. Sometimes in uncompleted buildings, people are going to school and you don't have right to complain. Dude, let me be honest with you. The way you see things and the way you complain about things cannot be the way I see things and the way I cry about stuff. No, it cannot be. Because you and I, we are two different people. Our stimulus react differently. So, maybe when you react towards things, you become emotional. That you can even say, when you are emotional, you can say things, because out of anger. And you cannot be blamed for that because the power belongs to the people and the power is given by the people. Had it been that thing was made available for you, there is no way you will come out in the media space to criticize or to talk about things that is made available for you if they are there. Then the government will actually be justified if they decide to give you even 6 years jail term. If it is in their constitution. Only if it is in their constitution. If it is gazetted. If it is a law that is being passed by the court of law. That's only that time that you are going to have a jail term. But if you do not, if he does not, no one is giving anyone a jail term. Now, coming to the situation whereby you do not have school infrastructure, you do not have good road, you do not have electricity, you do not have pipe-borne water, you do not have sewage system, you do not have land right, you do not have land use, you do not have, plan, city planning. That people will buy land where they found a piece of land and establish. This same government will, through their corruption, approve such place. Then another government will come up because he has interest on that same piece of land. They will now start demolition process. Then you find some people, just because they have become used to suffering and smiling, defending the same government of the day, who allowed this piece of land to be sold, who allowed this piece of land to be developed, who allowed people to stay in this piece of land for more than 3 months. Made it home, and the government of the day will come and give them quick notice. Without asking them, do you have a safe place to go? Now, why do you think a person deserves 3 years jail terms? Jail time. Because you actually echoed your grievances. Regardless of how you echoed it, you should understand that this power that this government is sitting on is a power that belongs to you and I and every other person. No one has a right to have monopoly of such power. So if they want to play and tell us that they have given us democracy, let us reap the benefit of such democracy, right? If you cannot reap the benefit of such democracy, it means that it doesn't exist. So they should tell us that this is a military regime. They should tell us that you did not vote that man in. For him to say that you will have 3 years jail term if you criticize him in the social media, trying to clamp down on social media. That is the reason why I have more than 20,000 followers on this Facebook. But to each time you come online to talk about issue of Nigeria, you will have people like this viewing you, or this number of people looking at you or listening to you, because they are clamping down on people speaking up and speaking their opinion on social media, and they are clamping down on whenever you are trying to actually speak sense about the situation of what people are going through in Nigeria. Why? Why is social media so important to Nigeria more than every other country in the world? Why? Why is social media activities hurting Nigeria more than every other country in the world? Do you know why? I will tell you. Because people does not have right to vote and to be voted for. That is the reason why As long as you are not granted right to vote and to be voted for, you cannot be granted right of freedom of expression. So that means they will beat you up and they will force you not to cry. Because social media is actually a means of a route of escape to so many people. A route of escape to so many people. Without social media, you might even find yourself going crazy sometimes. Because you might not find anyone who will understand your pain. Except if you actually echo it out. In that comment section, you echo it out. Sometimes you echo it against the person who is speaking. Sometimes you echo it against yourself without you knowing. Sometimes you go crazy. Sometimes, we don't understand exactly what we pass through in our daily lives. Courtesy of the government of the day. Now, if it is very, very important to this government to regulate social media, not to tackle poverty, not to tackle insecurity, not to tackle food security, food insecurity, not to tackle, the challenges, physical challenges that you are facing on a daily basis in Nigeria. The only thing important to them, it is to tackle the freedom that you have and the channel that was made available by the people who understand the importance of freedom of expression, freedom of communication, freedom of speech, and freedom of association. So people who understood it in the big world, who make the laws that we abide by, they decided that they will invent something as social media so that people will have, access to speak up. Because people are going crazy in silence. Because they have no one to speak to. Now the government, the most important thing to the government of the day is that they want to clamp down on the activities of people in social media. This government is not talking about clamping down on making, pranks. Making pranks all over the place. Pranks that even, they trivialize even emergency situation. This government is not worried about that. They are only worried about people who are actually focused and understand that before a nation will move forward, government need to come to the party. This government does not care. But the government will tell you what you must do. But you will not advise the government on what you want as the people who placed him there according to the rule of democracy. If, of course, they cannot respect you, that simply means you are not the one who placed them there. So you don't have right to criticize them. And that is exactly what all of us need to understand, because I heard someone, I was in one of the comrades' TikTok live yesterday. We are talking about the demolition of people's homes and businesses that is taking place in Lagos. Someone was actually, trying to convince me that the government is doing something that is right. Dude, in the 21st century, the government is doing something that is right by demolishing people's property. In the 21st century, without compensation. Let me now be honest with you. Because if you allow a person to go and, find a piece of land, you as a government, you were not proactive to make sure that there is a town planning, there is a city planning, there is actually rural planning, which the type of building that's supposed to be where it's supposed to be. And you do not have such plans. You didn't make such planning. So anybody that buy a piece of land and got approved and received a deed by the government, and at the end of the day, the government allows such person to develop the land without coming to enforce the law, if they may, even if the law existed. It doesn't matter. Because the reason why you have law enforcement is for them to enforce the law. So if the law exists or is in existence that such place is mapped out for government use only, and it is gazetted in the law, there is no way if an individual go out there, sell that land while government is there. Government was there when the clearing of that land was happening. Government was there. The clearing of the land was happening. Government did not intervene. The government was there when the fence or foundation of that house is being dug. The government did not complain or come and remind you that this is the government use place to be used. The government did not do so. After you build your mansion there, the government did not say anything. You move in now with your family. Your children have a home. Now, after some years, more than 3 months, more than 360 days, government now surface from nowhere. We are putting this place for demolition. Maybe you bought a land because people have right to own a land. It is not government does not own the land, does not take custodian, is not a custodian of land. There are lands that is, under the custodies of the traditional rulers. There are lands mostly in Nigeria under the custody of the owner, individual, families. Because we understand what is the meaning of inheritance. It is a pass through, one far household to one generation to another generation. Now, government did not say anything. You build and you move in with your family. Government will now tell you, in the next 1 year, we are going to, that is, even if the reason why I extended it to 1 year, because I want you to know that 1 year is very small. 1 year is very, very little time. As long as the government did not find you another piece of land, as long as the government did not give you compensation and give you time to actually relocate, to find a better place, they have to find you a better place, another place to compensate for not enforcing the law and allowing the land to be used and allowing you to invest your money in this piece of land, because there are people who are being paid with the taxpayers' money to police and to enforce such law. If they become, negligent, it is the problem of the government and them, not your problem. And this piece of land was not invaded, right? It was not invaded. It was bought, paid for, cash. This is not I am buying a piece of land through a banking process. No, this is a piece of land you use your hard sweat, hard-earned money to buy. And government will wake up one day and say, no, we are demolishing it. And we give you 1 year to move from this, to relocate from that place, without giving you money, without giving you another place to go and relocate. That is an evidence that if a natural disaster occurs, government will not even come to your aid because it does not concern the government. They do what they want. So that's exactly what they have actually, showed people in Lagos. We can demolish your house, do your wish. There is no human rights activist in Nigeria. They are all biased. That is the reason why I have advised Nigeria Bar Association to actually go on a protest or rally, to actually call for this, their career or their profession to be taken seriously, because they are there to protect from the lowest to the highest individual equally, to protect their right, to advocate for their rights. But they are not being respected by the court or the government of the day. So in a situation whereby government is pushing to bring regulate social media. Just on the because government is scared that social media is actually exposing the atrocities that they are doing against their own people. That is the only primary problem that the government is seeing in Nigeria. No good road, they are not seeing it. No hospital, they are not seeing it. I know how many people I have actually, seen died because of no hospital. Sometimes it's a family member, sometimes it's a friend, sometimes it's a close relative. You will find them, they are dying because of there is no adequate hospital for them to, get treated. They will have minor, sickness. But when they go to those, places where there is no adequate, equipment, there is no, if in fact, the place that is they will make, bring a small house and they call it a hospital. There will not even be pharmacy inside that hospital. You will now have quack chemists outside the hospital where you are going to go and buy medication that you are going to be used to be treated in such hospitals. So in a situation like that, when somebody lose their loved ones in a hospital like that, because it is not adequately equipped, and you as a government, you don't believe in that hospital, you run to France, you run to Britain, you run to Russia, you run to every place to get a proper medical checkup because you don't trust in the one that you govern. And your only concern is to come up and start thinking about how to regulate social media that people will stop echoing their own, cry. And you are threatening them with a 3-year jail term. Don't forget that this is 200 million people, more than 200 million people in the 21st century. Somebody is telling you, depriving you of your right to freedom of speech. That's what they are doing. And, I know that Facebook in Nigeria, they have placed a shadow ban on many, Facebook channels that actually speak the truth to the power. Many Facebook channels that are actually, exposing atrocities that is happening against the black man and against, against the people in Nigeria. But that is not going to stop us from, exposing these things. Not even the 3-year jail term or jail time is going to stop us from crying. Because it is only an idiot that will be beaten up and you are forced not to cry after being beaten up and you agree. It is better you cry instead of going crazy. Because if you don't cry, you will end up going crazy. Because the reason why you react and express yourself or you think aloud about the things that is, or you react aloud about the things that is actually, happening that shouldn't be happening. How can it be a crime? How can it be a crime? Boko Haram in the north, Fulani herdsmen in the north, in the west, in the east, doing their own stuff, taking away means of livelihood, taking lives of innocent people, all politically motivated and driven. Now you look at it, you don't have to cry. You don't have to call out the government of the day to tell them that what they are saying or what they are doing is not right. You wouldn't have right to come and expose that the government of the day is doing wrong. All these things now boil down to the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. for you to know very well that it is Mr. Tinubu that is holding Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. And looking for, looking for every means possible to see if Mazen Nnamdi Kanu will drop the agitation or have it, agree to their terms, which their terms is all about, drop the agitation, let's one Nigeria. That is the reason why he is still in the process, because he refused to drop the agitation. Now they are using people in the outside world who are also used close to him, trying to use them to destroy and distract. It becomes very problematic. The games that they are playing, if you sit back to understand the politics, you will know exactly that these things that is happening within the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, it is not also unconnected to this social media suppression. They want to ban freedom of speech so that I cannot speak to tell you your right, that you might wake up and demand for that right. That's why they want to ban, they want to regulate social media. That's exactly the reason why social media regulation is more important than all these Fulani headsmen and terrorists that are, destroying life and livelihood all over the place. Social media suppression is more important to this government, more than people suffering from hunger and starvation. Social media is more important to the government to suppress, more than petrol price that is going so high, more than hunger in the land, more than electrical infrastructure, more than pipe-borne water, more than sewage system. And remember, when we talk about sewage system today, if any government wake up tomorrow and say they are doing sewage system, therefore they will demolish your house, you must be compensated. Where were they when people were drawing the map of development? You must be duly compensated. So that's the way it is. So there is a lot of work for this government to still do, which they don't want to even look towards it. They haven't started, they don't even care about going to think about it. How are they going to start? They are not thinking about it. All they are thinking about, we assume office, we continue to import petrol, we remove subsidy, and people are buying petrol higher than what they should be buying. Meanwhile, the reason why the subsidy was put in place from the beginning, it is because you have crude oil, but you are importing petrol. What a curse. That means you don't have a government. 3 years jail time will not stop you from echoing your own, or from speaking out. If you don't speak out, you might end up going crazy. So you must speak out. Because as long as you are speaking things that are realistic. One thing I hate so much is propaganda. I don't like propaganda. That is one thing I hate so much. But the things that we see, it is plain to see. We can formulate our own perspective about that. And if you are getting worked up because people are formulating their perspective, if you don't want to be criticized, step down as a leader so that no one criticizes you. If you don't want to be criticized, you step down as a leader. As long as you call yourself a leader, you must be criticized. And you must not be scared of criticism. Because if you are scared of criticism, you are not a leader. you are a dictator. Because the fact that you are made a leader does not mean that you are wiser than every other person. Does not mean that you are, you make important decisions more than every other person. So that means you are made a leader because a leader must be there. The fact that in African politics, particular individuals hold the monopoly of being a leader or not a leader. They hold the monopoly of being a leader. And that is what we have actually looked at over the years. After the amalgamation, more than 1 century now, all we talk about is peace and unity. We have not talked about growth and economic development. We have not talked about, innovation. We have not talked about integrating to the new age, following the time. We have not talked about it. We don't have sewage system. We have not talked about it. We are only talking about peace and unity. So since in the last more than 1 century, more than 10 decades, you've been talking about peace and unity, peace and unity, peace and unity, peace and unity. Today, you are still talking about peace and unity. Do you know it is like somebody writing exams, repeating the same exams, knowing that I wrote this same thing at every exam and I fail. I continue to use the same answer, the same method, and expecting to pass. If you try one method, if it doesn't work, if you don't have another method to try, you will relax and wait for that method. Once you have that method to try that is not the previous method you used that failed, then you try again. But if you continue to use the same method expecting different results, you are actually fooling yourself. I saw a statement on Twitter which is actually laughable, where the NFF made a pronouncement, Super Eagles should go and win the World Cup for Tinubu. As if the Tinubu is God of Nigeria. Tinubu is not God of Nigeria. They didn't even say let them go and win it for you as Nigerians. Win it for Tinubu. Win it for Tinubu, the owner of you. Once they win it for Tinubu, they have win it for you. So when you look at these things, you find out that the mind of the people living in Nigeria is no longer working the way the mind of free people is supposed to be working. It's no longer working the way the mind of people living under democratic dispensation and that has freedom of speech and expression is supposed to be working. Because you find people who does not understand that the fact that the government make this a norm does not mean that it is right within the law. And everything that the government does, it shows you that they don't even have regard with the law. They don't have the regard for the law. They do as they please. They don't have atom of regard for the justice system. Who gazetted? Who will pass that law? You cannot come up and tell us that once you criticize the president, Tinubu's administration, you have 3-year jail term. That is a fallacy. A big fallacy. Your freedom has been confiscated. Your freedom is being confiscated. It is laughable that a lawyer or a son in Nigeria came up to defend Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, and it stated a condition that before he will defend Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, Biafrans should stop insulting Nigeria. Dude, what I am doing right now, am I insulting Nigeria? Am I stating a fact of what Nigeria has become? So for you to see if those people who are supposed to help the law to uphold for the sake of the common man on the ground, they are biased. They are biased. I don't even, whether he's a son or not. He is biased. He's not a judge, but he's a lawyer. He's an advocate. He's an attorney. Probably, he is biased. You cannot say, I should stop my right to freedom of expression so that you will take my case and defend my right in the court of law. Who does that? So the right you are defending, you are confiscating it as, you are claiming you want to defend my right. On the other hand, you are confiscating my right. Does it make sense to anyone? No, it doesn't. That's why you need to ask yourself questions. Who are those? What is the games that is being played with the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu? What exactly is the game that is going on? Around the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, they told us they have sacked Ejiofor and the son Ozokome. What? This is exactly what this autopilot and the siblings of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu has been advocating for over the years. And at the end of the day, today we heard they have sacked Barrister Ifeanyi Ejiofor. Did they say they sacked him, or they are no longer in the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu? They have appointed a new son. And the son gave their condition. Otherwise, the son actually stepped down. I believe the son has stepped down. Now, who was actually involved in appointing such son? That person that is involved in appointing such son, that person is supposed to be a suspect in what we are doing. Regardless of whom that person is. That person should be a suspect. And that person cannot be Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Because Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is in the DSS solitary confinement. That means somebody is coming and feeding him with, some lies and deceit. And this is an evidence to show you that the Barrister Ejiofor is a committed lawyer, and they know and they want a situation whereby they do not want to give Barrister Ejiofor that glory of releasing Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, because Barrister Ejiofor is actually immovable. He is committed, and he is actually truthful to the cause for this restoration of people's freedom of speech and freedom of association. And freedom of self-determination. Barrister Ejiofor was up for that. Now they tell you they remove Barrister Ejiofor and San Ozokome. They bring up a lawyer a son that will tell you, if we want to continue with this, you should drop the insult. He calls it insult. A lawyer, dude, a lawyer calls it insult. In your own eyes, I don't know who is watching. Even people we are talking about can be watching. In your own eyes, is this an insult? Is this an insult? The fact that Nigeria is more than 60 years old, 6 decades, they received their independence. They are not able to have a sewage system, pipe-borne water, steady electricity, road infrastructure, healthcare system. Justice system is actually wobbling. and you call me that is actually, laying out my grievances, that I'm insulting you, and you call yourself a legal representative. No, you need to go back to school. You really need to go back to school. If you call yourself a legal representative, giving me you are giving me a condition that I should lose my right to self-determination, lose my right to my right to freedom of speech and association, for you to defend me in the court. What are you defending? What are you fighting to actually achieve for me in the court? That is a biased lawyer. He's a biased lawyer. Who appointed such lawyer? That person supposed to be one of the #1 suspect in this struggle for self-determination. Many people have died for the sake of the quest for our freedom. Those people that died, all this shenanigan that is taking place, it is actually a slap, an insult to their to their graves, to their spirits. They will not rest in peace. You are tormenting their souls. Whoever that is in the forefront or in the middle of all this shenanigans, they are really tormenting the soul of those that died. That's exactly what they are doing. To this extent, I will tell you, I don't give a hoot. I don't care. Whoever that actually bring up that lawyer need to be examined thoroughly. The lawyer that gives you a condition to lose your freedom so that he will advocate for you to gain your freedom. There is no freedom such as freedom that if you slap me, I have time to cry. If you slap me and you don't give me time to cry and to heal, dude, it's better you send me to my grave. That is the freedom. Otherwise, you see what you guys are doing? You are pushing your finger inside your butt and you are smelling it. That's exactly what people are doing in that Nigeria. We are not being realistic with ourselves. We are not telling ourselves the truth. Because if indeed people want to be honest to themselves, professionals want to be honest to their profession, you will not see people actually entertaining a lawyer who will wake up to tell you, you are insulting Nigeria, like what I am doing right now. You will never see a lawyer. A lawyer, regardless of your crime, their profession is to make sure your right is not violated, even while at custody. That is a lawyer. Now that boils down to a question that was thrown at me when the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, was finalized at the Supreme Court. Somebody sent a comment saying that this is the reason why, after I made a broadcast analyzing the verdict of the court, and this is the reason why I should agree or I should accept that Barrister Ejiofor made a mistake by not filing a case of, did he say a case of extraordinary rendition? That's what the person told me. And he's a lawyer. I believe he's a lawyer. Whoever told me probably is one of the lawyers that are sabotaging each other, telling me or writing in a comment on YouTube saying, now you will agree that Barrister Ejiofor made a mistake by not filing another case for extraordinary rendition. I've been looking at that comment. I've been trying to understand, if indeed it was a lawyer who sent me that, who made that comment on my YouTube channel. Dude, if it was a lawyer, you must know that some of the lawyers in Nigeria should go back to school. some of those who say they are lawyers should go back to school. Do you know how to understand a case that is being treated in a court of law? Any case that is ongoing in a court of law, there is no way you will tell me a case that is mentioned inside a particular court that is, involving the existing case. You will now go and file a fresh suit about it in order to ascertain a right for the court to carry out, for the court to make a pronouncement about one case of one person. This is not Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and the wife. This is not Mazen Nnamdi Kanu and his brother. This is Mazen Nnamdi Kanu against Nigeria. So you want to tell me now that if you have a case inside a court, first of all, a court of a competent jurisdiction, the things that they need to ascertain, if they are not biased, is number one, the lawyer will actually propose, are their rights being protected even while at the custody? That is the first thing. If the lawyer proposes, the right of my client is being violated. Number one, he is not sent to prison. He is kept in a solitary confinement. The law court will now, make their investigation to ascertain such information if it is accurate. Now, the law court will not say go and file a fresh suit that your client is being violated. One court will treat all that. Even if it takes them like they have actually spent 2 years in one particular case without, getting to anything. Now you find out now that case of extraordinary rendition is not supposed to be, filed separately because it is a challenge. It is actually, a defensive, pronouncement made by by the lawyer of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's lawyer actually exposed to the court of a competent jurisdiction that the right of the client was violated. How was the client brought back to Nigeria? The court that cares about human rights. The court that knows that its jurisdiction is to make sure everybody have a fair trial. A court that makes sure that it does not condone travesty of justice. That court will make sure the right of the detainee is actually protected until proven guilty. Even proven guilty, there is a right of a prisoner. So in a situation like this, for government to ascertain that now this individual was unfairly treated by extraordinary rendition or by torture, which is against the process of the law. Now, you make a pronouncement on that. Or if the court is going on and this issue is mentioned, the law court can start a trial to determine whether it is infringement to the right of this individual or the detainee for extraordinary rendition and attempt to his life is, to know whether it has a substantial evidence, to know whether it is strong enough to terminate the case. Therefore, the court can easily pronounce that the state cannot violate the law in order to come back to the law to defend themselves or to come back to the law to complain. Therefore, this individual must be compensated for the right for violation of his right. Now, a person who is a lawyer, maybe because you want to, or maybe you are not a lawyer, you are a novice, you are quoting to understand or to malign somebody's activities to say to me, you see, why did he not file the case of extraordinary rendition? Is it not one person? Is it not court? Now you are talking about case of extraordinary rendition. What about Umuahia case? Did the High Court of Abuja talk about it? The answer is no. Did the Supreme Court Supreme Court talk about it? The answer is no. But Supreme Court is telling you that they did not see a place or where they filed a case of extraordinary rendition. But a court that knows what they are doing, as long as that matter is raised in court, then the lawyer or the judge can easily tell the lawyers, you can file this case separately, or they can stall the existential case, and they will say, no, we need to go into trial about this extraordinary rendition. You make it, you actually trying the competency of this case that is sitting in your court to know if the court will have jurisdiction to entertain it. That is a competent lawyer, a competent court. How they're supposed to carry themselves. You cannot just entertain a matter just because individual was kidnapped in the east and brought to the north. You just entertain the matter as a court. The fact, if the court does not understand the issue, the importance of jurisdiction, it means that they are not court. It means that people are doing as they please. So that son, I don't know what get him to be a son, but I want you to understand that that person is not a son. Maybe this is an nepotism that sent him to be a son or whatever. Because a true lawyer who went through, the scratch of studying, go through the field, go through the training, get a certificate, join the Nigeria Bar Association, it is a true insult for you to come and say that we are insulting Nigeria by exposing the atrocities that the Nigeria government is doing against us. And if you talk on that country, they catch you just like they are actually exposing themselves by imposing 3-year jail time for anybody who comes in the social media to criticize them. Don't you see it is an indictment to you as a son and to the government of Nigeria? So you have to now, you have to now ascertain the rule in which you are going to carry yourself in representing a case of an individual from the government, by the government telling you if you want us to entertain your case, or probably, I am imagining, if you want us to entertain your case, you should actually make sure you convince this group or this organization that they should not talk about us anymore. Then what are you defending us for? Because you are actually trying to, take our freedom in order to give us another freedom. No. Freedom is essential. Most importantly, when it becomes holistic freedom, it is life. So why do you want to take half of my life and give me half? That is called biased. That is called a captured, son. So many people, I know we are not much here. You that is watching me, I believe if you have brain, if you have sense, you will understand exactly what I am saying. It is something, you don't need to be a sky, a rocket, or is it a legal representative to understand that you have a right. You have a right. You are a human being. You have a right. As long as you have a right to vote, you should have a right to be voted for. As long as you have a right to be voted for, you should have a right to criticize that which you voted for. As long as you have a right to criticize that which you voted for, you have a right to actually remove them if need be. If it is through democracy that he was elected into the political space, except if it is military regime, then we will know that it is a different ball game altogether. But the way things are, we should stop fooling ourselves. Nigeria should stop fooling themselves. Nigeria is not one. Nigeria can never be one. And Tinubu should go ahead first and go and start, arresting those people in the north who is accusing him of selling northern Nigeria to the French. He should, first of all, give them 3 years jail time for saying that he is selling the northern Nigeria to the French country, macaroni. You should start the arrest there because it is a big claim. It is actually a big accusation. Then we will know that it is serious. That is up for something, real. Not to come and threaten you and I, who has never smelled, the coffee. You've never smelled the coffee or have a free lunch in Nigeria. Maybe you will hear, no, there is a place in the north, they are giving them grant. Have you ever received? Where you come from? Have you ever received unemployment grant in Nigeria? You have not. How can you receive grant when the only subsidy that the government is spending just to make things easy for you has been removed? There is no place, it is not placed into another stuff that will be beneficial to you and the rest of ordinary people on the ground. The same government is now coming to tell you, even if I beat you up, do not cry. If you want to cry, go under the bed and cry. Don't cry where people will see you, because it is tarnishing our image. Just like the Sun, they have spoken truth. He said that it is tarnishing the image of Nigeria. What is tarnishing the image of Nigeria? Sun should call Nigeria to behave like a country and understand the importance of human rights. That's all. If Nigeria behave like a country that understand and know that giving power to a president is not, giving him license to eliminate anyone that needs to be eliminated or jail anybody that he wants to be jailed, does not mean you've given a license to control the judiciary or control everything. It is people that gave him the power. So why can't we criticize them? Why can't we? That is uneducated, when you look at the people in the position of leadership. Some of them are uneducated. They use Gaiman stuff to actually get to the position. They use Gaiman stuff. Having seen the type of system of education we have in Africa, or as Africans, when you are ill-educated in such system of education, imagine what you are going to be, a disaster. There is no one that is treated good that will wake up one day and say, no, I am leaving. It is because they have never treated us like one. They have never treated us good. They have never given us equal opportunity. Rather, they pick up one person and enrich them and make them to be the boogeyman in their community. That's what they do. Divide and rule. The world keep evolving. The world keep integrating into the new, industrial revolution. While the method in which we are being controlled, we are not controlled softly. We are controlled harshly. The method in which we are being controlled harshly is actually, evolving. They keep, renewing the method, that you will continue to die. Will I say, you will continue to live a life and bequeath your children the life in infamy, which you have lived yourself. Is it what we have come for? The answer is no. Now, who is going to now be the next son for Mazen Nnamdi Kanu? And I don't care about the personal or I don't care about any issue with anybody or any group that is within the struggle for freedom of Biafra or the freedom of the Eastern region. No. I am not talking in a perspective of because I don't like you or because I've seen you as you have sold out. No. Or because I've seen you that you are double-edged. But I am talking in, I am being realistic here. What exactly is the reason why Barrister Ejiofor and San Ozokome is removed or is, suspended from attending Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's case? Because these two individuals understand the importance of, human rights. These two individuals understand they understand the freedom of self-determination, and which is, which was actually, signed by different countries. The Universal Declaration, Geneva's Convention, including Nigeria, is a signatory to it. Then the lawyer who understood it, and the lawyer, of course, if there is anybody which the Tinubu's administration will not want to give the glory of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's release, it is Ejiofor and co. Because anybody who understand, politics, who, I don't like to, I follow things. Sometimes I might not follow it to talk about it. I follow it to understand it. Then when the time occurs where that thing that I've been following to understand, comes up, it will be clear and I will communicate it to you. Now listen to this. If you look at it, you will find out that there is a man called Rufai Oseni, which has been very vocal and doing his media or journalism, not unbiased, being a professional journalist and speaking truth to the power. Now, you see that he is writing, condemning evil that is condemnable. Just like every other, every other Nigerian that already, is no longer enslaved, knows that it is right of everybody to have freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Just like Barrister Ejiofor, when things is not going right, he writes it because he is actually a citizen of, if Nigeria is real, if at all it is real, because I don't know if it is real. I don't understand if I will call people citizens of Nigeria because I don't know if it is real. It doesn't, if you go back to the antecedent, if you come back to the, come back to the, to now, you will find out that there is nothing that is going on there that looks like it's a country. It looks like a place where people are just running a mafia state. People do what they want. So, before Ejiofor becomes a lawyer, he was a Nigerian first. And before he became a lawyer, he was a Nigerian citizen who has right to vote and be voted for. Right? So when Ejiofor started writing things that the government is not doing right, of course, in a country like Nigeria, which you know that the centralized power, no other person has power, only the center. Now, you know that they can make a decision. Imagine this lawyer. How can I give him glory? If I release this man for him now, it will be like it is Ejiofor and Ozokome who is truthful to their career. They are the ones now who are going to take the glory. Now let me organize somebody who will give them, and maybe we will organize somebody who will give them, the condition that we want. If they accept, we'll fix them. That person will now get a bail and they come with the, conditions. As if they are talking to kids. That's exactly what the Sun came for. Because the day, the final court or hearing by the appeal court, you saw what Mike Ozokome said there. I believe it was like a farewell speech. And it is not unconnected because I've been trying to investigate the reason why he read what he read there. It is not unconnected to the activities of this new Sun. For him to read, let there be peace in Nigeria. What did he say? Because all my investigation boils down to the new lead counsel now, senior advocate. This one is triple senior. Maybe he's also senior to Sad Ozokome. That he lay out the decision. Go and give this as your speech before I take over. Of course, that's exactly what I'm seeing that happened there. Of course, if so many of you will remember, the speech of San Ozokome after the Supreme Court hearing, not verdict, hearing. So that now reminds you that the game that the Nigeria play is out there in the open. They are trying all their best to cover their track of all the mistakes that they have made while playing this game. And now, it is hunting them. Now they want to now blame you for all their mistakes by telling you or threatening you that you will receive 3 years jail time for criticizing a president. Have you now seen what's going on? So all these things are connected to the case of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. So whoever that introduced that lawyer to Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, or whoever that advised Mazen Nnamdi Kanu to go for that lawyer, that person is a suspect. That person is a suspect. That person is going behind the back of the movement, behind the back of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's organization he established, which is the reason why he is there. That person is going behind and sabotaging the movement. That person has cashed out and trying to sell the movement and hand it over to the Nigeria government. Therefore, you know my humble opinion. This is the reason why most of the time I haven't been online constantly like the way I am. Because I don't like to get confused. I like Ife Malumma. Ife Malumma on Ademma. And secondly, I like if I am defending something, I will understand what I am defending. That is the reason why I decided to defend the structure of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu created. I did not defend it because I have interest. I defended it independently. I am not defending it because I have I have interest. But I defended it because I've seen the truth. I was defending the truth. That is how things are supposed to be. Things are not supposed to be upside down. So with that reason, you find out now they tell you the lawyers has been replaced, and the no one is giving you a reason, what do you call it, conditions in which you will use to represent you. Now upon that, the condition is to shut down the struggle, shut down people from speaking, right? For him to represent you, confiscate your freedom in order to give Mazen Nnamdi Kanu freedom. Now, I think the way things are going right now, in my own personal opinion, and I am not trying to be prejudiced against anybody, it is now time, and it is important for the leadership of IPOB to actually take a lead. This is now my personal opinion, my humble opinion, because things are actually, going in a dimension that they want to confuse your followers. And if you are not careful, if you do not take a full lead, they are going to confuse your followers. And they will be confused. And the soldiers or the warriors that you are using to fight this battle, to make people, to remind people and to create awareness, at some point they will start getting weak. Because I got the fire to possible. But remember, there is nothing spoiled. The most important thing, the leadership need to take a lead. Because I also heard Mazi Chinasa Nworu saying that this type of attorney was appointed by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, which means I know Mazi Nnamdi Kanu cannot be in a DSS dungeon and appointing lawyer. So it simply means that there is some bad influence that is pushing the people who are working on behalf of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, that the Nigerian government is trying to sabotage them, to turn people against them. And somebody is dancing to the tune of the Nigerian government and trying to, remove the people who are working assiduously for the sake of the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and who has the interest of the people and the freedom for self-determination at heart, because they are legal representatives. They should understand the law better than anybody, because a condemned criminal today whom you see that actually took a life in front of you, in a court of law, they have a right until proven guilty. In fact, no, they are not guilty until proven guilty. Even if you watch it happening, the court can see what you see, can actually, tell you that what you saw there is actually, your perspective. Because when you see something, you formulate your own perspective, right? So the court can actually determine that, no, what you saw there is not real. It's a perspective. And they decide to give a judgment that, they feel it is actually within the law. That is exactly, what is going on. So people are going there, feeding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Feeding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, lies. And maybe, of course, blood is thicker than water. Whether it's the family members, just like we've heard that they are working with the politicians, and I will not doubt that, because if this lawyer could come in between, and it is actually, we are told that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu knows about it. And he got back to give his own, conditions. And that condition is to make us to keep quiet and stop exposing. That means the person does not have the interest of the struggle at heart. Therefore, since there is already a confusion, the leadership should take a lead, full lead, until the confusion is cleared. I think, let me be honest with you, the lead I am talking about, the leadership to take a lead, and actually let there be a radical transformation in the struggle until the confusion is cleared. Because confusion is what you will be when when Chinasa Nworu was talking about this lawyer, when I was listening to him, of course, when that lawyer was introduced on the day of hearing of the Supreme Court, I already had information. I had information of all these things happening that is being said today. I had information about that, but I didn't find it important to come and start talking about it, because I want to confirm where it is going. Now, since it is actually out there in the public domain, that's why I am actually coming into it. Dude, the people that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu listened to inside are the enemy of the struggle that he established. Therefore, since they are not, he is not listening to, or they are not feeding him a good information that he's supposed to digest, the leadership should take a lead. Let them take a lead, while we continue to advocate for the release of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Because what we see now is politics. You need to play a superior politics in order to win. And what I am, I'm just going to leave it like this. I am not going to elaborate further on that. But the leadership must take a lead, so that they will not be confused, so that they will not be deceived, so that they will not, be lured. In my life, I don't want, at the end of the day, I have seen things. I don't like to work for something in vain. I work for things that actually yield fruit. In a situation whereby the enemy is changing the tactics, let them be doing their tactics, as long as the leadership is not having access to provide a lawyer that will represent Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. Let those who have access and to provide a lawyer, let them take care of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's case. Then the leadership take care of the struggle and push the struggle the way it is going. That is why they are there. While we that will be in the media front, we will be talking about, we will actually be, covering everywhere now. We will be covering everywhere. We shouldn't let ourselves to be dribbled by the enemy. And Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is not to be, to be blamed. It is those. Blood is thicker than water. You see, blood is thicker than water. Onye sị gị na ọbụrụ omegin. O nwere ife ọ ga-eme. Ọ bacha mbọ ga iji nware. No, just zuo ike. So, you take a diplomacy to defeat a diplomacy. This is where I am going to actually leave it. Because, of course, if people's opinion as well, let me touch on this. People's opinion, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu have a right to have his own personal lawyer. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu, that, when the issue that is actually, that is there on the desk it is issue of organization IPOB. So there is nothing, bad if Mazen Nnamdi Kanu decide to have his own lawyer coming for the case, because he's the one who is wearing the shoe. But if it has to happen, there must be duly consultation. Because all this shenanigan, like that is the reason why when, those people who say that they are going to court in London or in UK against the extraordinary rendition, going as an individual, not as the organization that Mazen Nnamdi Kanu represent. That's why the case died off. It will never go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. But one organization is actually, going and suing another organization, it has weight. But one individual, maybe you are in Germany, the other one is in Nigeria, or one is in another place, you bring a case, not as an organization, individuals, saying that your brother is kidnapped and rendition in Kenya. How is it going? They will just look at you because there will be no substantial evidence you will be able to gather as an individual. You might not be able to have alibi the organization might be able to provide. So that's exactly the advantage of a case. So all those things, you have seen that it is playing. The leadership is undermined. If they know that they are indeed the true leadership of the organization, they must take a lead. Because the reason why it is so, the leadership mantle was bestowed and given to them. So, in a situation whereby there is too much politics, those who think that they will use politics to be delaying the struggle, you just sideline them and start pushing the struggle forward. While we will be in the media defending both sides massively, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu release and Biafra restoration. That's the way it is. Because blood is thicker than water. Blood is thicker than water. Until we meet again, stay safe, stay informed. You must defend your freedom. You must defend your right. No one has a right to beat you and ask you not to cry. We are not trying to insult or malign any organization, individual, or leader. We are actually stating a fact and educating our people and exposing them to things that they don't know about. That is, if Africa is going to be free, the freedom starts with education. And that education and awareness is what we are creating today. And we will continue until we meet again. Stay safe. Bye for now.